Well, hi. Welcome back. It's nice to see you all again. So today is going to be another entertainment episode. Matthew and I are going to be looking at some of the new stuff that just came out. We are going to talk about Super Brawly, the new Dragon Ball Z movie. Check it out. Yeah, you saw that. And if you didn't see that because you're listening to this on a podcast directory, I'm wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt. We're going to make some production plans for some of the movies that are never going to get made, and we don't have a say in it anyway. But we'll be choosing the cast for some of that stuff. We do a lot of MMA, not MMA, anime. And we actually make that same mistake in the podcast. This is an MMA episode. But yeah, get ready, guys. We're gonna set the stage today for some in-depth reviews we're gonna be doing. I know we're looking at getting into Brawl on Cell Block 99. If you guys haven't seen that, check it out. Before we come out with our next episode, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a review on that with spoilers. We've been talking about this for a while. We haven't gotten around to it yet. We're gonna do a Mandy episode and just a couple new things. Definitely watch the trailers for Soul Man and Tippy Toes, or Tiptoes, whichever one it is labeled as. Those are both working titles for a movie that was almost never released. So sit tight, enjoy the show, and make sure that you pay attention for next time, because we will be coming out with new material right away. Enjoy the show.
You shut up now.
Mikasa é Sukasa. That comes Shifu. Let the party begin!
Your ears you keep, and I'll tell you why.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Take this quarter. Go downtown and have a rat gnaw that thing off your face. Good day to you now.
I broke my back.
Look at that fucking bone.
You know, I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing, but I'm really gonna miss you guys when the show's over.
All right. Good morning. And thanks for waking me up, Matt. I didn't even know we were going to do one of these today.
You know, I had a hard time sleeping last night. I was up late because I went to go see a movie at 8:30, and it was kind of on a whim. It was only showing for one night. I can't even believe I did it. This is as crazy as I get these days, going to see a movie at 8:30 p.m. on a weeknight, because that means I'm not getting to bed till at least 11:30.
Look at you fucking lunatic.
But the movie, how fitting it is, the T-shirt you're wearing, because the movie I went to go see was playing for one night only.
Oh, is it Super Brawly?
It was Super Brawly, yeah.
How was it?
It was actually really good. I was pretty pleased with it.
I wish you told me you watched that before we did this, because I didn't even know it was out yet. I would have watched it so we could have done like a little co-review.
Well, you know what? I think you need to step up your MMA game, your anime game. Sorry, I had to switch gears there.
And an MMA game.
Forgot what podcast we were doing for a second.
Oh, no worries. We can't always be on the same page.
Yeah. No, it was like super last minute, and I really didn't even have time to. I haven't even had time to like think about it too much or anything, because like I got home last night, went right to bed, and woke up at like 8 this morning. But yeah, like I said, I was pleased with it. It's pretty much everything you'd expect out of a nice Dragon Ball Z movie.
You got like you got all your elements, like Goku gets beat up, Goku gets his head right, Goku powers up, beats up the bad guy, some old school Disturbed starts playing.
No old school Disturbed, but it was pretty much everything else. Yeah, was right on the money.
Yeah.
That's
all I want to see. I like it. I'm happy with it.
Well, what was fascinating to me was the way that because have you watched Dragon Ball Super, the new series they have going?
No,
I haven't watched it. And
I have a hard time getting into the new, like anything new involving like Dragon Ball Z or something. I'm just like,
that's kind of what I was thinking too, because I feel like I invested so much of my childhood into Dragon Ball Z.
Exactly.
And it was such a process watching that show.
Well, getting into it, and like invested was exactly the word I was going to use. I fucking
Well, the younger generation probably doesn't understand how difficult it was to be a Dragon Ball Z fan when you were our age.
It was not easy.
Yeah, you barely had the internet, and you had like these really random internet like forums and fan-made Dragon Ball Z websites, which is basically where you'd get your information from.
And your friends would always say things like, I just really prefer it in Japanese because you could only find it in Japanese half of the time.
Yeah, which I never got either because I hated it in Japanese.
Dude, I only want to watch anime in English. I can't fucking handle it. I lose so much of like the emotion and the character personality and everything when I'm reading what they're saying.
The voice dubs in Japanese I think they're fucking awful. I think they're always awful.
Yeah.
They always give the guys these really feminine voices.
Really high, screechy voices.
High, screechy voices. And they never sound like characters. They all sound the same to me. I don't know if that's bad to say, but they really do.
No, I completely agree with you, and it's also extremely racist. It's horrible that you would say that, but I'm here to stand by you. The back and bone share our racism. So,
well, I don't care what anybody says, whether you're a Japanese fan or not. The American voice of Goku and the American voice of Vegeta, those are the voices of those characters.
Yeah, those are their real voices. I don't give a fuck.
Those guys have been doing that job for like 30 years.
Yeah, I waited on a guy the other day named Tien.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he like named after because that's not a real name, right?
No, it's a real name.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he said he was some sort of Asian. I don't know what kind, but he was Asian.
Oh, so that's an actual Asian.
Yeah, and I got his credit card, and I was like, your name's Tien? He's all, yeah. It's like he's all Dragon Ball Z. I know.
How many times do you think that guy's probably heard like say he gives somebody his credit card, and they're like, oh, you need to pay me in yeni. Is that what it was called? Yeni on Dragon Ball Z? The money that they had?
Yeah.
Yeni or yeni or something like that.
I don't know if anybody he's bought things from has been that clever. I just told him, I was like, look, man, I'm just saying it's a dope ass name. My name's Keith. I sound like a country singer.
Yeah, that's definitely a country name. But your mom is from Texas. So.
Yeah. Well, my mom didn't name me. My dad
really?
my name. Yeah. I was named after a guy my dad played volleyball with. Not in Texas either.
I don't imagine that.
No.
That seems like more of a where was he playing? I'm assuming this was in California.
Hell, I don't know. Probably California.
Keith goes two ways. Keith can either be a Texas country singer's name, or it can be
a black guy.
Keith, or no, there's three names. All right, that's a good point because there is Keith David. It can be
Keith David and Keith Sweat.
Yeah, black dude, or it can be exactly the type of dude that your dad named you after. Kind of like a surferish dude on the beach playing volleyball.
Some dude playing beach
Keith,
volleyball.
Man. Keith stole my surfboard, man.
Keith borrowed my surfboard like 3 months ago. You never brought it back, bro.
Yeah,
he's a good dude, but he'll never give you your stuff back.
Well, yeah, I would definitely recommend going to see that new Dragon Ball Z movie. One thing I will say is that we got there kind of late, and
8:30. What?
Well, we got there even late for that because I was starving. I woke up at 5 a.m. yesterday, and I had to cover like a shift at work from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I didn't eat a lot. So I was really hungry. So we went to go get sushi before.
Matthew and I have these really high demand jobs that require us to work long 4-hour shifts, and like,
this was like a 6.5. It wasn't quite 7. I ended up working. My hours were
quite a 7.
I ended up working like 9 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
About But so I was hungry, and we went to go get sushi beforehand, and I was trying to order stuff off the menu. I'm trying to well, for since the new year, I've cleaned up my diet quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not eating any rice or anything. So that wasn't easy to do at a sushi place. But I managed.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, we got into the theater a little bit late, and oh my Lord, I've never in my life been in a dorkier audience than this. Because think about it. This is the one night they're showing this, and it like sold out.
I imagine it's something along the lines of like a neutered Comic-Con or something. Like,
Pretty much, there was not a female in sight.
oh yeah, there we go.
I mean, truly, yeah,
Yeah.
your age demographic here was easily ages 22, 21. tired. was a retired police officer, and he basically just was doing the training job to keep busy. He only worked like a few hours a week. But he was a funny dude, and he would tell these hilarious stories from when he was on the police force, and he was in he was on the gang task force. So he was kicking in like
kicking in doors. I was gonna say let's make this clear real quick. I don't think all cops are bad people. I just think it's
if you take anything away from this podcast, Keith doesn't think that all cops are bad people. There's cops.
There's plenty. No. There are plenty of good dudes that are cops. There's plenty of people who are like, just making their money. I do think it's a fucking really. It's a very contentious topic.
I still think it's an odd job choice, but look, fucking people probably look at me and they're like, why are you a Pilates instructor? Why do you want to be surrounded by
by girls in yoga pants sticking
like that's
all day while you're bending them over and
that might be an odd job choice to some people.
Sure, to some people.
So anyways, this guy Mark we hired, he was on the gang task force, and they would do all these crazy they'd be kicking down doors, and he would tell me all these funny stories from when he was on the force. And he was actually a former like semi-pro hockey player, I think, too.
Sweet.
And he just had this hilarious accent. So we were having a CPR certification one time, and it's where you have to do the whole thing on the fake dummy. And
I
all
know
that
what a
shit.
CPR certification is, Matt. I'm not an idiot.
I've saved lives, so I know firsthand what it takes. All right. So he was like,
look, I've had both my hands on a chest before. My lips were pressed firmly to another mouth.
I know what that feels like.
I know what that means.
He all of a sudden he goes, we were talking about reviving somebody, and he goes, yeah, I'm 0 for 7. I'm 0 for 7.
0 for 7.
And I was like, what? Say what? And then he was like, 0 for 7. He goes, I found 7 dead bodies. And they've all died on me. I've tried to revive 7 dead bodies.
Jesus.
And he was like, I did revive one lady. I revived one lady, but she died later in the hospital. And he was very. It was just fun. Well, you could tell he was one of those dudes. He was in his 50s, or he had just turned 50. He'd been around the block. This guy grew up in Boston, and I just don't think it was a big deal to him. He'd been through it so many times that it was just like,
growing up in Boston,
but so here's
dead bodies, apparently 7 of them.
Here's what I was getting to. He was there. So there was this one time where we were inside training, and a Hispanic woman she was pulling out, and she ran into his brand new car. She broke his headlight, and then she tried to kind of like drive away, and he caught her. Mm-hmm. She was going to try and leave, so he stopped her, and I could see him out there talking to her. And he comes back in. He's all pissed off. He walks her back into the gym. They call the police to file a report and everything. And he comes back and he talks to me. He goes, that fucking lady, man, I knew she was lying from the beginning. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I had to deal with this shit all the time in Boston. He goes, he said that basically what happened is she hit his car. And then when he went out there to talk to her about it, she was pretending that she didn't speak English, but she did. And he said he could tell right away just from her body language that she knew how to speak English. So he brought her back into the gym to the front desk girl who's bilingual. And he told the front desk girl, he goes, Gladys, he goes, does she speak English? And Gladys goes, yeah, I talk to her all the time. So the lady was lying.
Yeah.
He said that was literally like a daily basis for him. He said everybody was lying to him. And I've heard them talk about that on Joe Rogan's podcast where they say he said he got lied to every day. So he just assumes everybody's lying to him all the time.
Right. And that's the thing I was going to say is with police officers, they're dealing with the fucking scum of the earth all the time.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it's okay to treat everyone like the scum of the earth. That's a really important distinction.
I agree.
That's what you're getting paid for. That's why you're able to get $70,000 a year without a college degree.
If anything, shouldn't it be a breath of fresh air when you come across somebody who isn't kind of a scumbag? But it's probably hard to distinguish, I guess, at times.
Yeah. Well, think about that. It's hard to distinguish, and also you have to be on your guard so that you don't get taken advantage of. But at the same time, that distinction is your fucking job.
Yeah.
Sorry about it. Sorry that your job sucks. That's what you're getting paid for. That's why you make more money than I do. You have to treat people fairly because you're put in a position where you can really fuck people's lives up.
Would you want to be
can.
a cop if you were like a detective, like on True Detective or something?
It does seem cool. Like
it does seem really cool.
That does seem like a more enjoyable thing.
It does seem really cool, but they always paint those characters as super miserable. They're always like semi-alcoholics, functioning alcoholics. They smoke a lot. They always just come off really, really broken.
Really, just destroyed people,
I think
ruined families and everything.
Well, and I think that is the case a lot of times in real life. I how many times have you been listening to a podcast where they have a detective and they're talking about finding a certain dead body or certain crimes that just change their perspective forever, that still like haunts them,
Yeah, you always hear the found a baby in a microwave one where it's like, that's where my life was ruined.
And what's crazy is somebody did find but that's a true story. Somebody did find a baby in a microwave and you would never be the same after that.
Right, exactly.
So,
speaking of True Detective, I saw that you re-reviewed that. It's easily one of the greatest pieces of media that I've ever watched. What an absolutely great show that first season was.
Yeah, the reason I went back and reviewed that, I'd been meaning to do it for a while because that's one of my like top 10 favorite things ever.
Yeah, it's on the list for sure.
Yeah, but I started watching season 3 of True Detective, and there's 2 episodes in now, and it's actually really good.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know if
season 2 is the one with.
Season 2 was the one with Colin Farrell and Vince Vaughn, and it was
there was some moments. There was some really funny moments. Like Colin Farrell was great.
Yeah. His character is just awful.
The kid's like, he's like, what happened to the Jordans, the shoes you like? He's like, so some people got him. He's like, what, are they shitting him?
What did they shit? Like the very first episode. It's funny because the first episode, I thought it was going to be a really good show because it has that scene where he goes there and he beats up the kid's dad.
Yeah.
And he's like, you fuck with my son again, I'll come back here and I'll butt fuck your father while your mother watches. and then he looks down at the kid and he goes, 12 years old, I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. in his face. And like, he was just a horrible character, but you kind of liked him by the end of the show.
No, he was cool. Like, he was a horrible character, but he was likable. He was funny. Yeah. And he definitely grows on you. His sense of his like ambiguous but present sense of morality that he has.
Yeah. And there was some things I liked about that show. I like how they went into. I remember they would have that. Velcuro would have that. Colin Farrell's character. He would have that dream where it would be Elvis singing. And like there was some.
I didn't finish the season, so I don't remember. I don't know everything that happened. But
they drew a lot of inspiration from like Twin Peaks in that second season. There was a lot of kind of surrealistic visions in it. But it ended up being, it wasn't a great show because it ended up being very muddled. It was so fucking confusing. I remember they would have these, you would have to understand what was going on with, and I thought at first it was just me. I was like, am I just like too dumb to follow this? Because I usually don't have any problem following plots. But you would have to go online and read breakdowns of everything to understand what was going on. It was so confusing.
I wasn't crazy about Vince Vaughn's performance. I felt like he was he was in this transitional phase where he's trying to break into serious roles. He's trying to get away from comedy. I don't think he was ready for that yet because it just came off really forced and really like I took me out of it. I kept seeing Vince Vaughn.
I thought it came off just kind of flat.
Exactly. That's exactly what flat and forced.
You know who I did like in that series, other than Colin Farrell, was Taylor Kirsch's character, the one who
John Carter, the guy from John Carter,
yeah, and he was like good. Former secretly gay Marine.
Yeah, the guy he's angry at himself, secretly gay Marine.
I liked his character though. That was an interesting little.
It was an interesting dynamic for sure.
But overall, not great. Season 1 obviously is like classic. That could. Like if season 1 was a movie, that would be up there with all of the classics, I think.
So, speaking of Vince Vaughn, serious roles, things like that, have we talked about Brawl on Cell Block 99 yet?
Yes, that's the one where he's the bald guy. We
Yeah.
talked about that when I was down in Pasadena, and I watched the trailer for it. And I'm glad I need to put a note in my phone because I've been meaning to watch that because I've heard his performance in that is like amazing.
It's spectacular. It's one of the best performances I've ever seen him do in anything. It is a fucking phenomenal movie. You've just got to watch it. The action in it is raw and realistic, but also super gritty and really violent. The storyline is, how do I put this? It is gripping and kind of complex in a good way, though. It's like it has a texture to it that keeps you interested, but it's just a twisted, crazy movie. It's definitely one of the best movies that I saw that year.
Okay, now the fact that you brought up that movie, that reminds me there was another movie I've been meaning to watch.
Bone Tomahawk?
That too. But there was another one that I haven't seen yet, and I don't think you've seen it yet either. But I saw the trailer for it last year, and I really wanted to go see it. I just never got to it. But this movie with Joaquin Phoenix. It's called You Were Never Really Here. Have you seen the trailers for that?
I haven't yet, but I've passed by that a couple times.
It's supposed to be really, really good, and he plays like an assassin.
What threw me about that is You Were Never Really Here. So is that like a play on that documentary about him? Was it I'm Still Here? Is that it?
Wait, did I get the names mixed up?
No, You Were Never Really Here. Was
no. It's got nothing to do with.
I know, but
I'm Still Here was the documentary. Yeah,
I'm Still Here. Was it like kind of? Was it when that movie was named? Do you think that was in mind? Or,
I don't know. You know what's funny is it's funny you mentioned that because I never even thought about that. Never thought about that, but.
Because he lost his fucking mind, and you can see it in his performances since that movie.
I'm Still Here, though. That was all a work.
They said that, dude, but that was
he was doing like a social experiment.
That's what they said, but I don't know that that's true, dude. Like that was set like that. Theoretically, that was said to cover up his behavior and get his life back on track.
Because
did you see how nuts he was, dude?
I do. I remember.
Like, that was
but I remember. Here's my opinion on it. I remember watching that, and I remember thinking as I was watching it, because look,
if I lost my mind and did a documentary where I tried to become a rapper and I got like fat and crazy and started like doing drugs and hookers and shit on film. And you were Casey Affleck, would you come out and be like, and I want to get my life back together? You'd be like, hey, it was this was a social experiment.
I think it was a failed social experiment. I think that I'm a huge pro wrestling fan, and I could spot a work from a mile away, brother. And a work is when somebody.
I believe there were elements of that.
There might have been elements of that character that he was pretending to be that were real. Here's when I knew it was fake. When he had the meeting with Puff Daddy. When he had the meeting with Puff Daddy, I knew it was fake.
Why?
I just knew. You could just tell. There was something about it where you could just tell that Joaquin Phoenix is way too smart of a guy to not be self-aware enough to realize how absurd that scenario is.
All I know is when he came back to acting and making movies after that, he was not the same. He looked like he had had a stroke or something. Like,
he definitely looked weathered for sure.
Like
he started picking kind of random. He did different choices after that. Like
The Master. Do you remember The Master?
The Master, where he was that.
That was a hard to watch movie.
Off all the time.
Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson, man, it's weird because Boogie Nights is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Mm.
I really liked Magnolia, except I wasn't into the ending. But then he just the movies I don't like by him, I really don't like. Like I saw Phantom Thread last year.
I remember you told me about that one. Yeah.
Don't ever go see Phantom Thread. It fucking sucks. I hated this movie with a passion. But he has other movies, like I said, Boogie Nights, top 10, one of my favorite things ever.
Mm-hmm.
Probably my favorite dramatic comedy of all time, Boogie Nights.
And I was at a bar. I was at the Blind Donkey, and Boogie Nights was on the TV, and I was like, "Huh, it's an interesting choice." I was like, "What is that?" I was like, "That's Boogie Nights. It's about it's about a guy with a magical dick."
Dirk Diggler.
Dirk Diggler.
And that's why that was the first movie where you really got to see John C. Reilly's comedic genius.
Mm-hmm.
Despite my scathing reviews of Holmes and Watson.
Look, as bad of a movie as that could be,
John C.
Reilly and Will Ferrell are fucking great.
Still, yeah.
We're not gonna say that just makes them bad at comedy.
Yeah,
just, like,
but I think that John C. Reilly, even all the stuff he did with Will Ferrell, I still think that his best comedic work is in Boogie Nights.
Yeah,
I love all of his lines in that movie. How he wants to do magic. How he asks Dirk how much he benches, and he instantly benches more, even though John C. Reilly doesn't look like he's ever even looked at a weight set. Like, there's just a lot of really funny little things like that in that movie.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's a classic. Yeah.
But yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson, kind of a weird dude. But anyways, the thing with Joaquin Phoenix, yeah, you were never really here. I thought it looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Though he definitely changed after that. After I'm Still Here, and he started picking some weird roles.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it was him trying to be more artistic, or just more of a, I don't know. Some people kind of make that shift in their careers where they try to turn into kind of the artsier type.
I'm not buying it. I think he
thinks that Joaquin Phoenix has lost his mind.
I think he's fucking out of his mind.
Real life. There's a theory like that going around online right now, where because he's playing the Joker in that Todd Phillips movie.
Yeah, it looks horrible. I saw
Well, there's some theories online where people are saying that Joaquin Phoenix is basically a real life Joker.
Yeah,
the guy who lost his mind.
Yeah, I could see it, but I saw the trailer for that. I thought it looked like shit. I think it looks fucking terrible. And,
I don't think it looks great, but I also think it looks many, many times better than Jared Leto's interpretation.
Sure. Great. Yeah, I think anything.
I mean, anything could look better than that. But it's like, at this point, what do you do with the Joker? The Joker's been done so many times.
It has.
That's the good thing about the Joker character, is it's versatile, and it lends itself to that. But
yeah, there's a lot of variations of the Joker. I feel like the one that they were trying to get to with the Jared Leto Joker was that, like, gang leader, tatted up fucking Joker. But that one was more of like that
was like Lil Joker.
Huh?
Lil Joker. That was like Lil Joker.
Lil Joker from the hood. Lil Joker.
It's like Lil Joker from the West Side, man. I don't even know what that accent was.
Yeah, that was pretty bad, dude. But yeah, no, I mean, like, from the comics, there was like a tatted up, like, gang leader Joker, but he was more like Yakuza style. Like, he had like a dragon tattoo on his back and shit. Like, he didn't look like that little skinny, twerpy fucking Jared Leto Joker.
I don't know if I'd say skinny twerpy. He got pretty beefed up for that role.
Did he?
Right?
He
did. He wasn't like Ben Affleck in Batman or Henry Cavill as Superman beefed up, but like,
I'm gonna stick with skinny.
Will anybody ever top Heath Ledger's interpretation?
No, that was so masterful. That was ridiculous.
That was a brilliant mix of masterful, great performance, perfect place, perfect time. Like, it's just, sometimes you have those things where everything
they had to
comes
kill him
together.
after that.
Yeah,
they had to. There was no, like, after a performance like that, where there was like just shifted the tides, like blowing everybody's mind. They had to kill him.
You know what underrated Batman villain I would like to see brought to the big screen again, but done correctly, is Mr. Freeze.
Sure.
I went back and I've been watching some clips of the old Batman the Animated Series cartoon, and he was probably my favorite villain on that show. They did such a good job with Mr. Freeze on that show, making him like sad, like just kind of weird character.
It's all these gems in those old shows. Those just moments of like deep thought and reflection in the characters that we didn't grasp it when we were children watching it. And nowadays it seems that that's lost in the art of
when I was a kid, that shit was boring. I was like, get to
Right.
the action. I don't want to see this. And now it's reversed. I could skip through the action and just watch those scenes.
Yeah, watch all the character development and all these comic book characters. It's weird how introspective villains are in comics.
Yeah.
They're usually the ones that have like the deeper stories or the deeper insights on life.
Speaking of introspection in comics or just anything in general, I just reviewed Daredevil season 3. And that was one of the things I mentioned in it, was that what makes Daredevil as a series so good is how flawed they make Matt Murdock, Daredevil's character, come across. He's not confident. He doesn't come off as some big brooding like badass. He's like super flawed, super unsure of himself. Every single episode he questions whether or not what he's doing is right.
Yeah.
He just comes off as this insecure like shell of a human being.
Yeah.
And that's what makes that show so effective. Right. Same thing with the Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin character.
Yeah,
I said in that review that I wrote that he might have overtaken, in my opinion, Heath Ledger's Joker as my favorite villain interpretation ever.
I did read that, and I mean, obviously that's up to individual perspective. I don't think I would go that far, but he was amazing. He was he did a really good job as Wilson Fisk.
Well, and it's hard to compare to, because Heath Ledger's Joker is more like, because it's a movie, it's more like this bombardment that got shot out of a cannon of a character, whereas Wilson Fisk, it's done over the course of 3 seasons now, so it's
much more subtle.
It's a more So it's it's a kind of an unfair comparison in some ways, because they're totally different. But
they're also wildly different characters. They're completely like to compare. They're apples and oranges to compare. Like the way that they're displayed. Like the Joker is a much more visceral character. Like they're kind of opposite. They're opposite in a lot of ways, because the Joker, like you said, Joker is visceral. Joker is really what makes the Heath Ledger's Joker so brilliant, is you have no backstory on him. Yeah,
know nothing about him. He's just this like enigmatic force. Whereas with Kingpin, you know everything about him. You can see every little insecurity and anxiety that he has, like in his eyes, as he acts on them.
And that actor, what's his name, Vincent D'Onofrio or D'Onofrio?
D'Onofrio, I think.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but he's a great actor. He's like one of the greatest actors that's been around forever, that nobody knew who he was for the longest time.
Yeah, because he was way back in he was in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, he was Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket. He was the killer on the cell.
He's been around forever.
Yeah. He's been on a lot of shitty things too. That's a funny thing. Like he was on Escape Plan.
Okay, he's been around that long, you know.
Yeah, no.
Tom Cruise, all right.
Only good movies. I respect no actor that's been in any bad movies ever.
Did you see Daredevil season 3 or parts of it?
I did. Yeah, it was very good.
The guy who played Bullseye blew me away.
Yeah.
They fucking nailed Bullseye.
He was great.
No pun intended. They fucking that
absolutely
character
intended that pun. The same way I intended the pun I dropped earlier.
First of all, that guy looks like Bullseye from the comic. Like he looks just like him.
They just have to get him that really fucking lame outfit that Bullseye wears.
I know.
Well, Bullseye has one of the worst costumes in comics.
He does have a horrible costume
out there. It's so fucking lame.
But I like what they did in this series is they didn't give him the costume. They end up making him Daredevil's doppelganger, and he wears the Daredevil outfit, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Which I've always liked that in series. I like when because they've done that in other series before, where the villain will become like an imposter version.
He was reverse Daredevil, like how reverse Flash.
Well, what I was specifically thinking of was my favorite Spider-Man comic of all time is Kraven's Last Hunt, and in that comic, Kraven he hunts down Spider-Man, he tranquilizes him, and he decides that it's not enough to kill Spider-Man.
He has to have sex with him.
No, he cornholes Peter Parker. No, he decides that he needs to best because Kraven's last thing, it's like competition. He needs to best Spider-Man. So he subdues Spider-Man, and then he takes on the Spider-Man mantle, and Craven just goes around New York City beating the shit out of bad guys and like fighting crime. And it sounds like a stupid story, but it's one of the best comics you'll ever read.
No, it actually, I totally get that. And I always liked those the types of villains who they don't have like world domination or giant aspirations. They have that more of like individual psychological drive, like how Craven, you said, he's all about competing. He has to be better than this person, or he just hates the person. I just like those more individualized stories
for sure, because anytime a story becomes more, it's kind of for the same reason why did I hate Venom, because the fucking villain just wants to like conquer the world, right? Anytime you take a character, whether hero or villain, and make it more personal and more individualized, they become instantly more relatable.
Right. It becomes more emotionally relatable. And like the bigger the spectrum becomes, it becomes more political and more convoluted, and you become less connected to the story. All of a sudden it's like a fucking government drama when we're trying to watch fucking a superhero battle a supervillain.
It's the mistake they made with Star Wars, the prequels. Mm-hmm. The original Star Wars was the very personal story of Luke Skywalker and his family. And then you get into these new prequels and they have these fucking political meetings going on for half the movie, and like I
can't stand it.
They're horrible. The only good thing about that specifically the first one is the fight scene with the Darth Maul, I think, is still pretty cool.
Maybe. Yeah.
But they didn't have enough. That was the problem with that movie, though. There wasn't enough Darth Maul. That was such a cool villain, and they wasted it.
That's true. It's such a fucking. We've talked about Darth Maul before. We talked about Ray Park and all his exploits. What a cool character, dude. Like, they definitely should have done more with that. Sure, he cut Qui-Gon Jinn in half.
No, he
got cut in half.
He got cut in half. He impaled
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon Jinn. Yeah,
he should have cut Qui-Gon Jinn in half.
He should have.
That'd have been cool. If they cut each other in half, what if they cut each other in half at the same time? That'd have been fucking dope.
I feel like,
and then they fall down the pit, and his upper body falls onto Qui-Gon Jinn's lower body, and Qui-Gon Jinn's upper body falls onto his legs.
They create like some kind of new Sith
and then
Jedi
they keep
hybrid.
Fighting
it'd be like Qui-Gon Maul, and Darth Jinn.
Those are cool names, Qui-Gon Maul and Darth Jinn.
You could easily do that.
All right, so we're gonna start writing Star Wars fan fiction.
It sounds like we're on the right path.
It'll be the eternal battle of Qui-Gon, Maul, and Darth Jinn.
We should. That kind of reminds me of Dewey Cox when he. Have you seen Dewey Cox Walk Hard, where he cuts his brother in half?
I cut my brother in half.
That's like wrong kid, Dad. Speaking of, since we're on this topic of. Well, we're actually not on the topic at all. But
we're not on any topic. We are freeballing out in space here. This could be anything.
The new Spider-Man trailer, Far From Home.
No, I didn't.
They unveiled Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio.
Oh shit! I forgot about Mysterio.
Sam Jackson's in the trailer. He somehow teams up with Peter Parker.
Samuel Jackson is still didn't he disappear on Infinity War?
That's the whole thing that people are speculating on.
Everybody disappeared. How are they bringing all these people back?
They're speculating whether or not this movie takes place prior to Infinity War, after. They don't really know.
Really interesting that they chose Jake Gyllenhaal to play a professional wrestler like Rey Mysterio.
That was one of the first.
That's a strange thing to.
But yeah, Mysterio, they have Mysterio, and then they have some other villains that are kind of, you can't really identify who they are. It looked to me like it was Hydro Man, Sandman, and Molten Man. But there's other people speculating that it could be these other villains from the Marvel universe. I can't remember the names of them. But I think it was Hydro Man, Molten Man, and Sandman, possibly.
I like Sandman. That's a very versatile and difficult to fight character. If you think about that, there isn't really like an easy way to attack a creature like Sandman.
If Hydro Man fought him, he could just splash him with water and turn him into Mudman.
Yeah, but then you're dealing with Mudman. It's basically the same problems.
Then he becomes Clayface.
Which is a whole new set of issues.
Yeah.
Then he has to cross over to DC and deal with much more angsty superheroes,
Then the waters get very
and
muddy.
so to speak. No pun intended.
But the trailer, it looked okay. It wasn't like overwhelmingly good, but I don't think they could really show you that much because of all of the post Infinity War stuff. And I don't know whether or not that movie comes out before or after Avengers Endgame. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up.
Avengers Endgame comes out in April.
Late April, yeah.
April. So yeah, we already talked about this. It's going to be before the marathon, which I have to get fucking back on my feet and start training for that because
it comes out after Avengers Endgame. So
yeah, it fucking better.
Get back on your feet and start training.
Well, I fucked my feet up those last couple of runs I did. I had to like ice my feet for like 2 weeks to get my
make the mistake of hitting it too hard too soon.
Well, I didn't hit it too hard too soon. I had to finish that running challenge at the end of the year, so I had to do like 23 miles in 3 days, and I had really shitty running shoes. So since then, I've gotten better running shoes, but I've only been able to run like twice because I fucking did so much damage to my feet. They were fucking swollen. I was like at work limping around and shit. I felt fine. My conditioning and everything, my legs, my lungs and heart and everything were fine. But I just fucked my feet up bad.
I'm in the preparatory stage right now. I haven't actually even started running yet. I'm still just doing my general conditioning where I'm lifting weights. I'm on alternating days. I'm doing like a 3-day a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, full body strength training split. And then on alternating days, 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I'm starting off where I'm just going to do a month of jump roping bare feet, just to get my feet and the kind of the spring of my feet a little more conditioned. And then I'm going to transition into running. Because one thing that I noticed last year, I wish I would have taken more time to do that at the beginning to strengthen my feet a little more. Because as I get deeper into my miles on the running, I always seem to run into the shin splint issue.
You see, I'm doing an alternating 3 and 3 a week day of training, switching off between beer and wine, and I'm with one rest day, and then I'm trying to work my way up my conditioning to whiskey again. So that I can really be ready.
All solid strategies.
And I feel like, the thinner I keep my blood, the less inflammation I'll have in my feet. So,
what's funny is there's probably an article out there that supports that theory.
I'm sure somewhere out there, but I'm also certain that alcohol causes more inflammation than it reduces. So,
that's possible.
I mean, sure, it thins your blood out and everything, but sure it fucking constricts blood vessels and shit too. I don't know. There's probably something bad. Because there's so much sugar in it. It's got to be inflammatory.
It's most definitely inflammatory. I do know that.
Yeah.
I'm no expert, but I do know it's inflammatory.
Yeah. Oh, Matthew. Nobody knows more about things that are inflammatory than you.
You know what I used to do that was so gross is like when I would get super drunk, the next day I would wake up and I would just eat really shitty food all day. And it was just like, I was so healthy during the week, and then I would have like this one day out of the weekend where I would just abuse myself profusely.
Wait a minute. So you're saying that when you get hungover, you wouldn't watch what you eat? You're probably like the only person in the world who ever did that, man. I bet. No, I've never even met a person who eats Taco Bell when they're hungover.
Isn't it a vicious cycle though? Well, like you would think that you would want to be like, you know what? I had a lot of alcohol yesterday. Probably wasn't good. Maybe I need to
have a green smoothie.
Counteract that today. No, definitely not. You just continue.
No, you just don't give a fuck about anything. You wake up and you're just like, I feel horrible. I need to fill my stomach with some garbage and just bury my face in a pillow.
My go-to was Jack in the Box. And I would do 2 big cheeseburgers, no mayonnaise, 1 bacon and cheddar potato wedges, 2 tacos, and 1 order of jalapeno poppers with ranch.
I
And
always
Frank's Red Hot sauce.
I would go to Taco Bell and I would get the beefy 5-layer burritos. I get like 6 of them.
Ew, why? It's disgusting. You wouldn't want some diversity in there?
No, just
If I went to Taco Bell, here was my go-to
fire sauce, just like gallons of fire sauce. I'd be like at the window, just like, give me fire sauce.
That is vile.
All you can give me.
If I hit
Dude,
Taco
all the
Bell,
fire sauce you could legally give me.
if I hit Taco Bell, I would go 1 double-decker taco Supreme, 1 Crunch Wrap Supreme.
I would always get the Crunchwrap Supreme.
Crunch Wrap Supremes were key for a hangover, especially if they had the volcano sauce.
Oh, dude, that was the best.
Yeah,
Why did
it
they
was
ever
the
stop
best.
getting volcano
I know.
sauce? That shit
Volcano
was
sauce
fire.
was awesome.
Yeah.
I'd throw a Nachos Bel Grande in there if I was feeling particularly saucy, and then maybe a chicken soft taco or 2.
Chicken soft taco.
Chicken soft taco.
I just never
Just-
thought you were. I never thought you were the type, Matt.
I used
Never
a
mind.
chicken
You know, I
soft taco.
misjudged you.
No, I used a chicken soft taco, not for it was. This was by no means the central piece of my meal. It was more of a palate cleanser in between because a lot of
It was like the ginger for your sushi.
exactly because the ingredients that you have in the Nachos Bel Grande, the double decker taco, and the Crunch Wrap Supreme are all the same. So I wanted something in between to kind of
See, to me, the beefy 5-layer burrito is like the fast food junk food equivalent of like a green smoothie. It's just a bunch of crap smashed together.
That's what I was gonna say.
You're just getting down.
It's the beefy 5-layer burrito is kind of like they have a bucket underneath the garbage disposal, and everything that the Taco Bell employees throw in there, they toss into that burrito.
They just roll it up in a fucking tortilla, and
That's what comes out. That's what you're getting with a beefy
yeah.
5-layer.
There's nothing good about it. It's
No.
filling your stomach with all the grease, garbage, and that just add water beef that
You
they
know
have.
what? You know a weird
Like-
thing about myself is I don't like when here's what I didn't like about those really, really big burritos from Taco Bell. I don't like when all my ingredients get mixed together like that. I like when they're layered and I could see them. Because if they're all mixed together in like a mush, then it just feels like I'm eating like puke. Even though it tastes
Right.
identical, I like when they're separate.
Sure. Well, don't go to Taco Bell then, because basically you're eating puke.
That's the menu, essentially.
Yeah, the menu is different varieties of puke.
Yes.
It's like, here's a puke from a guy who ate a lot of Doritos. Here's a puke from a guy who ate a lot of burritos.
Those volcano tacos were good too.
Yeah. Anything with the volcano sauce, dude. Remember when they had the chicken Crunchwrap Supremes?
Yeah, I do.
Those were
really good.
fucking DEFCON. That was bomb.
Yeah. I can't believe I'm almost craving Taco Bell now that we're talking about it.
I'm here to ruin you.
I won't do it.
I've come
I
to
won't
this
do it.
podcast to send you on a downward spiral towards beer, whiskey, and Taco Bell.
Mm.
I'm gonna come see you. You're gonna have a big fat fucking gut.
I don't remember the
You're gonna be all blown out,
honestly,
some puke on your shirt.
I could not tell you the last time I had Taco Bell. I don't even fucking remember. I really don't.
I mean, as reckless and out of control of a human being as I am, I really rarely eat fast food. Almost never.
I know the last thing I had fast food wise was Carl's Jr. a little while ago, and I got like their hand breaded chicken strips.
Now we've talked about this before,
Yeah,
but definitely, if I had a choice of fast food places, Carl's Jr. is definitely one of the top level. We had Matthew McConaughey come on as a guest spot.
ooey gooey, itty bitty. Oh, so cheesy.
It was.
Yeah, Carl's Jr. is good.
It was
I
one
like
of the most
Wendy's.
erotic descriptions of a hamburger I've ever heard in my life.
Did you do Wendy's? Are you into Wendy's?
Wendy's isn't bad. Wendy's is doable. Hey, they're never frozen, and the beef
That's
patties
the
are
selling
square.
point.
Yeah,
I would take Wendy's over McDonald's. Is the last. I didn't
Yeah,
even like McDonald's when I was younger.
no, I never liked McDonald's. Wendy's got the Baconator.
Mm-hmm.
Can't go wrong with that.
Frosties.
You know
are
what they?
always gonna
Yeah,
be
they. You know what? The buns at Wendy's are really good. They like butter the fuck out of their buns.
Yeah.
super buttery. They're really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Their fries aren't very good from what I remember.
I can't remember their fries for the life of me, and that's not a good sign, I'm sure.
Remember when we were younger, there was always seemed to be a story of somebody like finding a finger in their Wendy's chili.
Yeah, I think
Like,
it was the Wendy's. Yeah, it was definitely the Wendy's chili that the finger story was from, or like I found a whole baby chicken in my
yeah.
or something horrible like that.
I remember my mom always seemed to have like a friend who somehow knew had the recipe for Wendy's chili and could make it. Did you ever come across that?
No,
I remember there was like a
isn't Wendy's chili just basically Hormel chili? You just open up the can,
I don't know.
microwave it, and you.
But I remember there was a Wendy's chili recipe going around. It was actually really good. It tasted just like it.
I don't know.
I used to have a Frosty recipe too, where you would take like ice cream, milk.
You know what?
Quick.
Every time I had any kind of recipe for anything, it was like, this is exactly like this is how it's made. Whenever we had it, it would never be anything like it. It was like this fucking shitty at-home version, watered down version of whatever we were fucking talking about. So like, I remember my mom one time, she was like, we used to watch a lot of Nickelodeon, so we wanted Gak because Gak's,
Gak.
fun. Then
That
my
was
mom
a
was
parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Gak was disgusting.
Yeah, my mom was like, we can make Gak. Here's a recipe that I found for it. So we got these fucking recipe cards to make our own Gak, and it was this fucking milky, like falling through your fingers, like liquid shit. It wasn't like the fucking sticky taffy like stuff that Gak was.
No,
It's
never.
completely fucking
yeah.
different.
There was a whole period in the 90s where all of those gross out like Gak and slime and
The Garbage Pail Kids era.
yeah, all those really gross fucking dirty play toys floating around. There was that other stuff. I remember there was a stuff Nickelodeon I think came out with, and it was like little pieces of foam that were inside of like
It was like
you could shape them and mold them into things.
Yeah, it wasn't Gak. It was like the that was the other one that was like it was like Gak's cousin. Like it came in the same weird jar that Gak in that like star shaped jar that you opened up and you could pull it all out.
Why was it was it just Nickelodeon? Is that why slime in general was so big in the 90s?
Yeah, it was the Nickelodeon thing.
Yeah.
God, what was that other stuff that wasn't Gak?
I don't.
It was the same. It was the same material as Gak, but it had those little foam dots in it.
Yes. Yeah.
It was like the Stretch Armstrong generation.
That's what I was gonna say.
Like,
and then you had Stretch Armstrong. You had all those just weird. That's just seemed to be really popular for some reason.
Yeah, it was a strange time.
It was pre-internet, so
yeah,
maybe
so
that
we had to play with what we were given. We couldn't find our own toys back then.
Can you imagine kids now? If you tried to show them Gak, they'd be like, "Ew, give me a fucking iPod. Get that away from me."
Yeah, I want to play with my iPad. I got Angry Birds on this.
I just spent 3 hours on Google, and they told me I'm gonna catch fucking malaria from that Gak. Get that away from me. They don't want anything to do with that.
Look, I read all about all the psychological repercussions of playing with Gak. Like, you're fucking 7. What are you talking about?
That's an interesting thing to think about. There's probably some kids out there right now that are just like child geniuses just through shit they've read on the internet. They probably never even
I don't think reading anything
is going to make you a genius. But I mean,
I'm sure like
if you were to take a child genius of this era who has the access to all this information compared to a child genius of generations past, the kid now probably just dwarfs them because
that's the give and take with this technological revolution that we have going on with all the information that's available in the world is like we have avenues for genius to succeed. We have all these places for what would have been otherwise unallocated skills. Like there's ways for people to find that information.
Yeah.
Little fucking genius ass kid who's got an IQ of like 700. Just drop a little fucking iPad in that kid's hand and he's going to find out everything about the world,
Yeah.
There's no restriction to learning anymore.
No.
Whereas, back in the day, that kid would have to be that intellect would have to be discovered and then fostered. And that kid would have to be taught, and he would have to go to the library and look things up. It wasn't just available in his fucking living room.
Right. Yeah, times are changing.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Times there.
Looking at the clock, I got to be at work soon.
Nah, just call in.
Unfortunately,
You could stay here with me forever.
Forever.
We'll have Taco Bell.
You could have Taco Bell. You could have his Dragon Ball Z toys.
Yeah. Gak. I'll make you some Gak.
I wonder if you could probably find some brand new Gak on eBay.
For sure. There's probably warehouses full of Gak.
Yeah, because that was a short-lived trend. That didn't go on for very long.
Pogs, Gak, all that stuff is out there. We should, what we should do sometime whenever we make our studio for the Back and Bone show, we should completely deck it out in like 90s shit. Like make it look like a 90s room aside from the actual camera and computer equipment of like Pogs, Gak, and fucking classic like Dragon Ball Z toys and shit everywhere.
By the way, you can definitely buy Gak online. I just pulled it up on eBay. There's tons of unopened Gak.
Yeah.
Imagine it's got to be dried up by now, though.
Nah, dude, if it's sealed, why would it be dried up?
And if you want there's one that's a special like Nickelodeon glow in the dark Gak.
Yeah, they had glow in the dark Gak. I remember that.
That one's going for $44. But I think this guy's overcharging.
Jesus.
This
silly putty. Just silly putty. Gak is like the gross silly putty. Silly putty was never that gross.
Yeah, because Gak was
wet
and slimy and ugh. Yeah, you're right. Silly putty wasn't as gross.
Yeah,
man. I thought for a second maybe I had found that stuff we were talking about, but I didn't. Yeah. In any case,
we'll figure it out. I'll text you when I figure out what it is.
Yeah, we got to look into that. There's got to be a list online where they have like all of those.
Yeah. I don't know why. For some reason, I keep catching myself gazing into that odd beanie that you're wearing. I don't know. I'm trying to like.
It's like a circle.
I see that.
A half circle, and then like two halves of a circle stacked on top of one another.
Now, it's fascinating that you're describing to me what I am looking at, but what's really fucking me up about it is the asymmetry of it. There's no like pattern or anything. I get that they're all half circles arranged in different ways, but how it's just like, I don't know.
There is a pattern though, Keith. You just can't see it.
There's no pattern.
The pattern is
I've been staring. I've been
circular.
That's not what that means. And I've been staring at these circles for 2 hours now, and I can't figure this shit out.
I've tried to figure it out. I don't know.
I hate it. If you ever wear that beanie on here again, I'm gonna fucking turn this thing off.
I've been complimented on this beanie multiple times, actually.
Yeah,
I'll have you know.
By people who appreciate asymmetry and fucking circles. I don't like it. Don't ever insult me with that beanie again, especially when you're wearing such a beautiful shirt.
I will. I'll pick a different beanie next time.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, it's been a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for joining us once again. Follow Matt Reviews Media and Matthew Paul Lovato on Instagram. And make sure you get signed up for the Back and Bone show. Likes, follows, shares. Get us out there, people. Oh, we're animeing.
I just did an anime buy.
All right. We did it. Anime buys. All right. Good night, guys.
Peace out, playa.